Do stats in Hypixel games matter? The answer is yes. Now I know what you're thinking. Thank you, helpful Meteor. That is extremely helpful. However, what do you mean when you say that some stats mean a lot, while other stats mean as much as a counteroffensive trap means to a Bedwars player? The answer is that not all Bedwars stats or Hypixel stats are created equally. Some are amazing, incredible tools for determining skill, while others are evil, cruel torture machines intended on prolonging the suffering of Bedwars players. Let us start with an example. Let us start with this little known website called Plancke.io. Plancke is an example of an evil Bedwars stats device. Now don't get me wrong, Plancke can be good for some things, but determining skill is not one of those things. It's probably why Plancke wasn't even made for determining skill, but rather just displaying the raw stats of a player over a lifetime. However, since back in the dark ages of Hypixel, there was nothing else to determine anything, people just turned to Plancke for determining how good people are. Issue with Plancke is that it determines historical and lifetime stats, and here's the thing, people get better, usually. I did not, however, most people usually get better, which means Plancke isn't actually accurate in terms of determining how skilled people are, because it measures the lifetime performance of a player, including when they had just started playing and when they're probably much worse than they are right now. People change, Plancke doesn't. However, you might be asking, what is a good method of determining skill and what is a good stats finder? Now, let me direct you to IStats. Utilize the incredible idea of updating people's stats. Rather than just showing lifetime stats, which it still does, it shows daily stats, weekly stats, and monthly stats, so you can see how a player performed during that week, day, or month. This is much more accurate at determining skill and performance during the time period. Another amazing feature about this is that it also includes all of the data into a chart that you can interact with to some extent, and if you buy premium, it can go all the way up to a year in the past, and you can download raw data up to 2 years in the past. This is great because it can show how people progress over time. Say for example, we have a hypothetical Bedwars player named Red. Red used to be extremely bad. He would play, let's say, 1,000 Bedwars games in one day, and he won 10 of them. He had a 1% win rate, or I'm trying to figure out what the number is, like a 0.1 win-loss ratio. That's probably wrong, but let's say that's what it is. Obviously, let's say in the future, he gets better and plays 1,000 games again and wins 1,000 of them. He wins every single one. Now, firstly, it's probably going to be impossible because of reasons I've talked about in another video which you can watch. And anyways, let's say he just does the impossible, or sort of impossible, and manages to do that. Then, obviously, his stats are much better for that day. However, because of his horrible performance at the start, his lifetime stats are still probably not going to be that great. And say if people are trying to see how good he is, well, he's not going to look that good because his overall stats are pretty bad. I won. However, IStats tracks daily stats, weekly stats, and monthly stats and puts it all on a chart. So while Plancke might be showing just the overall stats, his lifetime stats, IStats will be showing his progression, and you can see a nice, neat graph of how he has improved over time with his daily FKDR and his daily win-loss ratio going from like a negative 1 billion to 1 billion. Not only can you see how good he is now, but you can also see how fast he improved, what he improved, and all range of different statistics that can be useful for whatever your purposes are. IStats was the first pioneer of this daily stats tracking progression charts, and nowadays there are many more features that do this, such as the observer bot on Discord that doesn't have the same progression details as IStats, however it can still track monthly stats, weekly stats, and daily stats, and it's pretty useful. Some people actually created rating systems for more accurate ways to determine people's skills, However, these are pretty much useless because they suffer from the same issue as just regular stats, is that they all come from our lifetime stats, which basically makes them as useless as the ones I mentioned before. I think that point and the trend is pretty clear now. Lifetime stats bad, updating recent stats good. So the answer to our question, are stats important? Do your stats matter? Some do and some do not.